Well, I was just thinking about how 1977 was maybe the greatest year of all time because of the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. I was already a reader and a writer, so I had already read tons of Nancy Drew books. You know, I didn't really like the Hardy Boys books as much because I guess maybe I was just a typical girl and I wanted to read about girls and not boys, but I had a few Hardy Boys books. But when that show premiered, I was all over it. Between Hardy Boys and Star Wars, 1977 might be my favorite year of all time.
Yeah.
We are definitely connected because that is the pen to a lot of my stuff, 1977. But I won't say what stuff, so in case you listeners are trying to figure out what I use that for, but it is the best year ever in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big turnaround year for me.
So,
and I think I liked, you know, I mean, I had boys who were friends, but I don't think I was attracted to any of them. But when Shaun hit the airwaves, so, again, it was just perfect timing. I was the perfect age for him to come into my life.
Welcome to the Shaun Squad Society podcast with your hosts, myself, Cindy,
Doris,
Dame Madonna,
where we invite you to share in our enthusiasm and reminisce about all things Shaun Cassidy.
From his teen idol days to his recent adventures back on the road again.
Please join us for the stories and memories that connected us to those happy days that helped create the Shaun Squad Society podcast.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Hey, Doris, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Look at you. First of all, we're doing a very special episode today, but I have to point out, this was not planned.
This was not planned, purple and purple.
We just happen to both have on our purple blouses today.
That's right. It's a purple day.
But, you know, I think our listeners will be okay with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, purple's a good color.
Let's talk about our episode. So today we have Toni Gallagher.
Yes.
Now, for everyone who you know out there who are not real familiar, I'm going to give a little background.
Yeah.
I'm going to read her bio because it's pretty good. It says, Toni is no stranger to storytelling. She earned her journalism degree from Northwestern University, which is probably why we both wear purple.
Right.
It's a successful career in reality TV. Toni began as a story editor on the early seasons of MTV's The Real World and was a producer on the beloved Disney Channel show Bug Juice, which was about real kids at summer camp.
Yep.
She was, or currently is, that's what we're going to find out today, the executive producer on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she lives in L.A. We can now welcome our special guest,
Toni Gallagher.
Hey. Hello, gals.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I guess we got to start
the
up
purple.
Yeah, right on purple.
That's Northwestern's color.
Shout out.
Let's talk about that for a few seconds.
Yeah.
You went to school in Northwestern. What brought you to the Midwest all the way over here to Chicago?
You know what? I started out in the suburbs of Philadelphia as a kid.
Okay.
So that's where I discovered Shaun, which I know we'll be talking about. And then I went to high school in Ohio and then college outside Chicago to study journalism because I've always been a writer.
Okay.
Ever since you were young, right? Like young.
Oh, yeah. I think I started in second grade probably writing books and stories and plays and all that kind of stuff.
So you had a knack for it right away.
Yeah. Because I've written those two children's books. And I was just speaking in an elementary school and I show them books that I wrote when I was young and all of that. I'm sure I have some early Shaun fan fiction, but I need to find it.
Yeah. I know Doris wrote a letter about Shaun.
I'm nowhere near as good as you. I would not, but I used to want to be a writer and I used to write short stories and poems and all kinds of stuff. So one of the very first things I wrote that I called my first poem was about Shaun, Cassidy.
Of course.
In high school, right?
I was like 15 years old.
Wow. I didn't even think about that in high school.
Yeah, that was my very first one. But then I like to say my inkwell dried up. I couldn't do it anymore. So I just dabble here and there now.
Yeah.
But
it happens.
Yeah. You stayed in Chicago only for school and then you left and went west?
The day after graduating from Northwestern University, my friend and I got in a car and drove to Hollywood.
Wow. So you knew already the target.
I think when I was a kid, my dream was go to journalism school and write for Tiger Beat or Teen Beat or Bop or whatever. By the time I graduated college, that was not my goal anymore. But I kind of knew I wasn't going to be a journalist. I was going to move to Hollywood and try to write for TV or movies.
Oh, and not Tiger Beat. Okay. Because that would have been fun.
A friend of mine was a reporter for Bop magazine, so I've heard
I remember Bop.
Bop, yeah.
Because we were talking about Ann Moses. Was it Ann Moses?
Ann Moses. She would have been the next Ann Moses. She wrote for Tiger Beat. And it was a little bit before she did the David Cassidy, Donny Osmond, Bobby Sherman type people.
Before Shaun. She was gone before Shaun showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know all those guys, but we were all just a little bit too young for them, right?
Yeah, we were.
That's what Cindy and I say all the time. Is we came a little bit too young for David, but right on time for Shaun. And then we caught back up to David because David, of course, continued his career in the 80s when I like to call it when he got back on the bus. And MTV brought out the Partridge Family bus and put Danny and David on it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I jumped on. I'm like, okay, well, let's go follow David a little bit.
Yeah, that was fun too because we were adults by then and we could go to concerts and not have to ask our mom.
Right.
You know? We could do our own thing and go see him. So we were mostly on the Partridge Family bus.
Yes.
But then Shaun showed up and I didn't even know he had a brother. So news to me.
So tell us your story. How did Shaun jump into your heart?
Well, I was just thinking about how 1977 was maybe the greatest year of all time because of the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. I was already a reader and a writer, so I had already read tons of Nancy Drew books. You know, I didn't really like the Hardy Boys books as much because I guess maybe I was just a typical girl and I wanted to read about girls and not boys, but I had a few Hardy Boys books. But when that show premiered, I was all over it. So between Hardy Boys and Star Wars, 1977 might be my favorite year of all time.
Yeah.
We are definitely connected because that is the pen to a lot of my stuff, 1977. But I won't say what stuff, so in case you listeners are trying to figure out what I use that for, but it is the best year ever in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big turnaround year for me.
And I think I liked, you know, I mean, I had boys who were friends, but I don't think I was attracted to any of them. But when Shaun hit the airwaves,
oh my goodness. Yes.
Again, it was just perfect timing. I was the perfect age for him to come into my life.
Yeah, we were in high school at the time. So we didn't get the dolls and the stuff like that, but we were more in the magazines and we had T-shirts.
I was magazines and posters for sure. I'd go down to the 7-Eleven. I think it was every Tuesday when the new magazines came out. And of course, all my walls were decorated.
We had to be there, right? The day it was released. We had to be there. We knew that day the magazine was coming out.
We couldn't get it 2 days later. No. It had to be that day. It
was like, open the doors. I'm here.
I had my 75 cents and I was ready to buy my magazine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And then when he started singing on the show, he was already cute as Joe Hardy. But when then he started singing, then I'm like, okay, all bets are off. This is my guy.
All bets are off. He was great.
Yes.
Loved it.
I mean, January 1977 is when the Hardy Boys premiered. And Sunday nights, my house, I didn't leave it. No way in the world I was going anywhere.
And tell her what we both did that we didn't know.
Oh, with the recording on our little cassette, and I still have some.
Yes.
Little cassette, hold it up to the TV, record
We
the
both
episode.
recorded it. Every episode. And I lived by an airport, and I was so mad that the airplanes were going overhead. And I told my mom to stop it. And she goes, what do you want me to do? Call the airport and tell them to stop flying? I said, yeah, for an hour, please.
Yes.
And I had evil brothers who would purposely burst into my room because my mother separated us and gave us TVs in our own room because we couldn't decide what to watch. So my sister and I shared a room. We were recording Hardy Boys, and they come in, or make some weird noise.
How dare they ruin the recording?
How dare them?
Just to mess it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
They
did. I did the same.
They did. Somebody had to be there to mess it up.
Yeah. So you had your recordings, you had your Tiger Beats, you were just all over it like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if I've mentioned it to you guys before, but my aunt already lived in California, and she ran into Shaun Cassidy at a Hula Hands restaurant. And the reason I know it's a Hula Hands restaurant is because it's on the back of this autograph that she got for me.
Wow.
So that is a legit Shaun late 70s autograph.
That's his autograph.
That I recently framed and put on my desk.
How nice.
How cool.
And who was he with? Who was he with at the restaurant?
You know what? I actually just saw my aunt a week or two ago. I told her I was doing this. She didn't even remember getting the autograph. So I have no idea who he was with.
Okay.
Hula Hands like any other person would be. You know,
yeah, exactly. That's like what, an Applebee's or a Fridays or something.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all.
But it would have been in LA somewhere. Maybe the Valley.
Lucky. Just a lucky connection there.
So you decided you were going to be a writer, but you didn't say you were going to go out. Did you dream of going out, like interviewing Shaun and doing something at any point in this whole life of writing?
Yeah. I think from about ages 12 to 15, the thought was move to Hollywood to interview Shaun and other cute boy celebrities.
Okay.
Yeah.
But by the time high school and college were over, I was a little more realistic. I didn't need to write for Tiger Beat anymore at that point.
Oh, okay.
I had studied serious journalism in college, but I knew serious journalism wasn't for me. So I moved to LA to pursue a career in TV or movies.
Yeah. So what was the first project you got?
Yeah,
when you moved
fell into the first job I got was called a production assistant, which was doing anything they tell you to do on the Tracy Ullman Show.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that show?
Yes.
It was on Fox. Fox was a very new network at the time.
Yeah.
The producer was James L. Brooks, who is still a huge name in Hollywood. The Simpsons ended up beginning on the Tracy Ullman Show. And, and I got to get Tracy Ullman her lunch, and she called me Perky. So it was a pretty
She was
cool
one of the
first job.
voices. Tracy Ullman was one of the voices. Was she Marge?
She probably did appear on The Simpsons, but
I think she was Marge.
Wasn't she?
No, that was Julie Kavner.
Oh, yes.
Julie Kavner was Rhoda's sister on the show Rhoda.
Oh,
but Julie Kavner did appear on the Tracy Ullman Show, as did Dan Castellaneta, who is still Homer.
Yes.
Oh,
I remember Tracy Ullman from that song she had. It was a cute little song, and now it's in my head, but I can't remember.
Oh, did have a cute song in the 80s. Yep.
One song she did, yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you, that is so cool. So you started there, and like you said, you were like their gopher. You did whatever they said to do.
Yep.
That's a lot of what everybody's first job in Hollywood is.
I bet.
And then somebody told me that Steven Spielberg's company needed an assistant.
Oh.
So that was my next job, was working for Steven Spielberg's company.
With what movie, or was it a...
You know what? He was out of town pretty much the whole year I was there doing Indiana Jones 3. But I did get to meet him once, and I told him not to make the movie Prince of Tides.
Yes.
That's my big claim to fame.
Don't do it.
Right. Barbara Streisand did. And I remember my boss saying, well, if that wins an Oscar, you're going to be in trouble. And later, what did win an Oscar was Silence of the Lambs, which she told him not to make. So if anybody was going to get in trouble, it was that boss of mine. But I was thrilled because, like I said, I was a Star Wars fan too. So George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were childhood heroes of mine too. And I once saw them walking down the hall together. And my knees went weak. I was so excited to see them together.
I would have just fainted.
Yeah.
And I don't normally get fangirlish and all that, but
They were big
Lucas
back
and
then.
Spielberg come strolling up the hall. I would have just fainted.
Would he have made,
Oh,
did he
yeah.
make Close Encounters by then? I
Yep.
wonder?
Close Encounters, E.T.
E.T.
Yeah. He was already huge, and that was the late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That is fun.
Those were some early fun jobs.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of just then segue a little bit into the books, because I got stuff I want to talk about.
Well, let me tell you for a second,
Got
before
our
we
books.
jump into my books, Twist My Charm, thank you for holding them up.
Yes.
I did spend many, many years after I left James L. Brooks and Tracy Ullman Show and then Steven Spielberg. That was when reality TV began,
Oh,
which I thought was actually going to be just sort of like a couple of years doing a fun job that was weird and new and different. And it became a 30-year career. But
Okay, yeah.
And which
While
was
I
the
was
first
pretty-
one?
How did I jump?
Survivor was the
over?
first reality show, right?
Oh,
No.
no.
No?
Reality TV started. I remember as a kid, there was a show called Real People or Amazing Animal Stories. All
Those
these
kinds of
little,
shows.
those were reality TV
Oh,
shows.
really?
Yeah. They had little, like there were hosts and then there were little stories and they'd meet real people and that kind of thing. In my mind, I think the first reality show, as far as I'm concerned, that put people in a situation and followed them dramatically would have been The Real World on MTV. And that was, I think they started in like 91, 92, which was like 10 years before Survivor. So people always think Survivor was first in telling a story of people in a situation.
Okay.
But I think The Real World was first. And that
I'm glad
was
you set that straight. Yeah.
early 90s.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working at these production companies led you to being on the reality TV shows?
Yeah, I was a fan just as I was working my other, entry-level jobs in Hollywood. I was a fan of that very first season of The Real World that took place in New York City. And, all my life I'd been a fan of soap operas. I'd been a fan later in life, of documentaries. And I thought, this is an awesome combination of soap opera and documentary.
Yeah.
So I wrote a letter to the company that made The Real World and said, here's my background. And I think it was many months later, maybe 6 months later, I got a phone call and I was like, wait, are they calling me in to be on the show as like a character on the show or to be behind the scenes? So I dressed cute enough in case they were interested for me to be on the show, but they were interested in me to be behind the scenes. And like I said, it was a total shock that I ended up doing that for the next 30 years.
Wow. That is a big career.
That's a long, I thought I did something when I stayed at the company 22 years, but you did reality. So are you doing it now or have you?
No, I bounced from show to show. So it wasn't like having one job for 30 years. I did
but it was
all
your
sorts
career.
of different TV shows. Some would last a few months and some would last a few years, but I did work fairly consistently for 30 years. It was 1993 to 2023. And I felt like that was a good time to hang up the reality TV hat.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it was during Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that I wrote the 2 books. That's why I stopped it.
But I bet working on those shows, we only see the final hour or whatever. But I was just mentioning to Cindy, I would have loved to be there to see the 8 or 10 hours that we don't see. The parts.
Doris, I wish it was 8 or 10 hours. It was hundreds of hours. And we had a team of people who had to watch every tape that got filmed, type into the computer like what was happening practically minute by minute. So we could then search it later. Like, I need a shot of Pedro looking at the fish tank. And we could search for it and find what VHS tape back then that was on. And that's how we had to make the show back in those days. It's a lot more streamlined and easy and technically savvy now.
Yeah.
But people watched every minute of every day that got filmed. And in the real world, they were filming practically around the clock.
Really?
They didn't tell those kids what to do at all. They just lived their lives.
Wow. And that was going to be my next question. Was any of it scripted? at least for the real world.
The real world, definitely not. And at least certainly in the early days, who knows how things changed over the years.
Yeah.
But I was on that show for 3 seasons. Road Rules, which was sort of real world in a Winnebago traveling for 4 or 5 more seasons. Never told those people what to do at all. Road Rules, they did have challenges to do. So I guess it wasn't scripted, but they had to do those things. But no, we just had to wait and see what happened and then pick out the best stuff and decide how to put it together, which is a really great storytelling exercise. You can't just write it out of your brain. You got to pick from what actually happened to create a story.
Yeah. And that's what Shaun says too. He's a storyteller.
Here's
and I mean, I did keep tabs on him over the years, and I remember being like, wow, that's so cool. Shaun Cassidy is a TV producer. He always produced dramas, and I was more of a comedy writer. Otherwise, I might have written him a letter at some point.
He was all dramas. Yeah.
But what a great, he's had a great career in TV behind the scenes, and I can totally appreciate that.
And we both found out, too, that while he did his first drama series, American Gothic, he was on tour with David doing Blood Brothers, and he couldn't come to Chicago where we were at because he had to go back and do American Gothic.
Right.
Yep.
So we didn't get to see Shaun with the Blood Brothers. We only got to see David.
Right.
And I've heard that story about how he would do the show, but then he would write scripts or write the Bible for the show during the day and when he wasn't performing. So again, I mean, I really appreciate his work ethic because that's how I wrote my 2 books while I was executive producing The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I was in an office. I wasn't running around following the ladies. I was helping, put the material together after it was filmed. But I would eat a TV dinner at my desk at 6:30 and then go to a coffee house at 7 p.m. and write my kids' books.
Do your second job.
What is it about coffee houses? I don't know if you know Johnny Ray Miller wrote what I call the Partridge Family Bible. It's this big book. When we're singing, we actually have it.
Yeah.
You can't see it on our table. He told me he loves to write in coffee houses. I'm like, don't you have a nice, quiet place in your own house you can go and write? But it seems like something about coffee houses and writers.
It's more inspiring to him, I guess.
Some writers can't handle the noise and the distractions. But for me, being at home is more of a distraction. It's hard for me to concentrate at home. I like, and also it feels like you're going to an office. You're going to something away from home. So it feels like you're a more serious writer when you're not at home for me, but everybody does something different.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious.
And I heard you were also interested in comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do dabble occasionally in stand-up comedy. I did a little in college. I did a little when I first moved to LA. I never seriously pursued it. I didn't want to be traveling and that kind of thing. But as the reason we met is because I wrote this comedic essay about Shaun.
Which we want to read.
In January of this year, 2026.
This year. Yeah, we actually printed it out. We wanted to read it because it was so hilarious.
We thought we would read it and then we can interject our favorite parts. You want to do it now, Cindy?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. This is hilarious. So yes, go ahead and read it.
I was afraid. I knew how big. I knew you guys were huge fans, so I thought, should I send it to them because it is, it's a little snarky.
We loved it.
We got it.
Oh, we got it.
We got it. I was right there.
We got it. You read the first half. I'll read the second half.
All right. Dear Shaun, with about 13 exclamation points. Dear Shaun. I'm writing this to tell you that you are the dreamiest, foxiest, and cutest actor I have ever seen. The first time you sang on the Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mystery Show, I couldn't believe you were so great. The Do-Ron-Ron is my favorite song and will be my favorite song forever. I promise.
I promise.
I hope we meet in person someday, so here are some fun facts about me. My name is Toni. I like movies and reading and learning new things. I have brown hair and brown eyes, and I'm 60 years old.
60 years old.
So this thing writes. It writes like a 15-year-old girl in her bedroom.
Yeah.
That's where people definitely crack up or write LOL when they read it online. That's the first line where people really crack up.
And then
You
you're 60
get
years
to
old.
that
Like,
and it
oh.
goes, and I'm 60 years
So
old.
you're not
Wait,
15.
what?
What?
Oh my God.
And then,
Author's note, I wrote this letter a week ago. So, yeah.
I guess you're just getting caught up.
Anyway,
days.
I also like going to new places, and I can't wait to see you in Riverside, California. I will be there at the Fox Theater with 3 of my besties. They are named Katie, Robin, and Siobhan, and they are all between 50 and 60 years old. Now, we could have left that out. We will not be bringing significant others because they are boys. And we don't want anyone taking our attention away from you. Not those icky boys.
Not the icky boys.
No.
Mm-mm.
My BFFs and I will be sharing 2 rooms at the Hampton Inn. But if you want to come over and hang with us after the show, hang with me, not us, me. After the show, we'll make it work.
3's a crowd.
Right. 5's a crowd.
You'll probably stay at the Mission Inn, which is fancier, and I could definitely visit there, unless you end up liking Katie, Robin, or Siobhan more than me.
Not going to happen.
I hope not, because I have been your biggest fan for the longest time, and I'm pretty sure that you had way more posters than I had. Way more posters of you on my wall than they ever did.
Oh, yeah. You got to beat them with the posters.
So that part had me on the floor. I said, who writes Shaun Cassidy a letter and then says, hey, come on up to my room?
We always wish.
A desperate 60-year-old lady does.
Yeah.
I was
Who's left her husband behind in L.A. to go to Riverside.
I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be one of those funny letters to Shaun. But you could come over and see me in my hotel room.
Yeah.
You can ditch
Maurice
that.
is like, I need to talk to this girl.
I was like, okay, I'm going to have to talk to her.
Yeah. So the second part of the story is, I hope it's okay that I invited myself to your hotel. I mean, I know that you've got a wife, but it's your 3rd marriage, so it can't be too serious, right?
How serious can that be?
I've only been married once and still am, but if Tim didn't want me getting together with you in Riverside, he should have shown a little bit more interested in watching the Hardy Boys show and listening to your albums on YouTube. And he definitely shouldn't have made me take my posters down when he moved in with me 10 years ago.
That's so freaking hilarious. Because what you're saying is, I had at 40 years old, 50 years old, my posters are just still on the wall. If my husband
now
had
I'm exaggerating a little bit,
know,
of course.
Of course, this is where it gets to the let's take some creative liberties.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I loved it because what you're saying for the story is, if my husband really had a problem with me asking you to come to my room, he might have wanted to mention it back when he saw those posters on the wall.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard right there.
Oh, yes. And then another author's note, like most girls of the 70s, I practiced smooching Shaun's kissable lips by leaning into the unfolded poster found inside his debut album. However, I feel like this would be something untoward to include in this letter. I don't want him to think I'm weird or anything.
I won't think that I was kissing him on the lips from his
Wait, am I
album.
the only one who's done that? That's not what I've heard.
No.
Well, I didn't want to kiss him because I didn't want to ruin the poster. I thought maybe my lipstick or whatever would ruin
Your
my
Bonnie
poster.
Bell lip gloss.
So maybe I would just blow him a kiss. Yeah.
I actually would buy every album twice. So if something got messed up, the album, the picture, anything, I had my backup. So I always kept one for the kissing.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Impressive.
Back up. All right. Then to continue on. Okay. I'm about to send this, but now I wonder if you'll ever actually see it. Do you really, truly, personally read your letters? I know you're busy with singing and traveling and tending to your numerous grown children. Well, maybe you can hire Parker Stevenson or Pamela Sue Martin to help with your correspondence.
Okay. No, that killed me.
See, I told you I got a little snarky.
I mean, let's just get them up and moving. They need to do something.
Yeah. But, a quick Google search has confirmed that your Hardy Boys Nancy Drew co-stars are still alive. But I haven't seen them work a lot lately, so they could probably use the dough.
That's so freaking hilarious.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yep. And you know what would be absolute coolest? If you brought them on stage with you, especially in Riverside, California. That would be fun. Yep. And okay, I want to write more, but there's someone knocking at the door. My husband is talking to some people. It sounds like there's some concern about my stability. I don't know why. I took down the posters, except for the ones inside of my hall closet. And I only listened to Do and Run with my headphones on. Oh, well, I better run, Shaun. I think I just heard some words, psych eval. But I'll see you soon. Your biggest fan now and forever. Ever.
There's
Toni A. Gallagher
Toni,
first.
the first, but you can call me Toni.
But you can call me Toni.
Hilarious.
There's a little whisper about psych eval outside.
Psych eval.
I better go.
So we're
I
not
was
the
just
only
imagining
crazy ones.
sitting here at my computer and hearing them behind the door.
So I don't feel bad anymore because I'm not the only crazy. There's more crazies out there.
Here's the thing.
I love it.
You wrote every single thing all of us have been thinking in our head for 35 years or whatever.
Yes.
And you just put it in writing, and I know.
You just sealed it.
If I were to write some of the stuff I was thinking, they would have had some people come over to pick me up.
Well, my husband already thinks I'm crazy because I still have Shaun stuff. I have all my original posters, and I ordered a pillow with him on it. And he's like, "You're not putting that on the bed."
Yeah.
That's so funny. I think I had so much of that stuff, and I've been pretty good about saving things over the years, but I probably only have maybe a poster or two, or maybe some articles tucked away in a box somewhere. All I have is that autograph framed.
Oh, yes. That's the most prized possession.
That is golden.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the website that actually published this letter to Shaun.
Oh, yeah. What is that?
And where people can find it.
In late 2025, I took a humor writing class online because I've always written humorous stuff, but I didn't really know what were the ways to get it out there. So I learned about these different online humor magazines, some of which are pretty, well respected. So this one was called Slackjaw, and it's on a platform called Medium. So if you go to medium.com/slackjaw, you can find that article that I wrote. Or I'm sure you could just Google it and it would come up, Slackjaw, Shaun Cassidy, or something like that. It will pop up. And I'm working on, trying to get more humorous essays out there. They're shorter. They're not, I wouldn't say they're easier, but they're a lot quicker than writing a whole book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you can tell, they're fun to do. The reaction I've gotten has been so fun. I met you guys because of it. Other people have been commenting that I don't even know. Boys, men and women have been commenting on it. And saying, oh no, I had more posters than you, I bet. Or boys who were like, oh, that's where all the girls were when I was in 8th grade. Or I wanted Shaun Cassidy's hair when I was that age. Yeah. So it's been a really, really fun thing to have out there. And I do want to put more humor into the world.
Yeah, I think you tagged Shaun in it too, didn't you?
I think so. I have not gotten any word that he has seen it, but we'll see.
We'll see. He has seen articles before in the past.
Right. I think I did post it one time on one of his Facebook pages, but then again, you don't know if he's answering or looking at the Facebook page. Or if Pamela Sue Martin and Parker Stevenson are the ones.
Well, exactly. They got to be doing something.
You know what? I do want to give a shout out to them, though, because I saw somewhere, I don't remember where they're performing, but they're going to perform together in a play called Love Letters.
Earlier this month.
You saw it on our Facebook page. We promoted it, and that happened already like the 6th.
It wasn't somewhere I could go, but I totally would have been there. I loved Nancy Drew, and of course I love Frank Hardy, too, just not as much as Joe Hardy.
I would have been there.
Yeah, we did interview Parker before.
I was joking, but he really does have a lot going on. He seems like a really intelligent guy, and his photography is excellent.
And his photography, he loves his photography. Yes, he puts that
He
first.
and Shaun both went on to have very interesting careers. With some acting in there, but not relying totally on acting, which is so cool.
And they're still connected. He considers him a brother.
Yeah, Parker Parker is really quite shy, I think, or a little more reserved. But I tell you, I'm the one like you. I'm the outgoing one, and I try to quick wit everybody. I try my best to come up with that quick line to make the moment a little less like tense. And at 10 minutes within our interview, Parker was like a chatty Cathy. He loosened up. He was telling us everything.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy talking to him.
If people haven't heard that, I would definitely recommend going and listening to it.
Thank you.
we had
for
fun
that
with him.
plug.
We had fun.
But everybody needs to go and find this letter to Shaun. If you haven't read it yet,
I read it a few times.
I think you can read it for free. It is one of those platforms where if you want to subscribe and read all the publications, all the humor, they have millions of publications on this Medium website. So I think it's $5 a month or $50 a year. I joined once they accepted my article. So I had 0 followers on this platform. The first guy who wrote me about the article said, "You are the only person I've ever seen on Medium with 0 followers, so I'll be your friend."
Well, I didn't
if
realize
you can
how
follow
it
me or
worked.
whatever, feel free. That would be great. But
I apologize. I didn't realize that was how it worked. I used the link you sent us, went straight to your letter and cracked up.
We should try to write an honest letter, like Toni's writing it from her perspective. We should try to write a funny one about Shaun too from our perspective, like what we were thinking back then. Like if you could really write him what you really were thinking, what would you put in there?
I don't know.
We're going to get married, all these kind of things. Yeah. I'm still waiting for you at the altar.
I do remember later in life when I saw that he was a television producer, I thought, he should have picked me. We would have been like a Hollywood power couple,
Yes, exactly. And you're both writers, so perfect combination.
And here I am.
Well, if he ever wants to adapt, a children's book into a series or a movie, he's
got 7 children.
They are grown, but he wants to make, I've got 2 books here that are totally available for film and TV. maybe he and I could work closely on it, if you know what I mean. Oh, shoot. Right. My husband's not here.
You're good. You're good. Wink,
I'm good for the moment.
Wink, wink.
Toni, you wrote these books, and I had to buy them the minute you told me you wrote them, and then I had to get Cindy to buy them. So here we are.
I think you've got 2 of the same one up there. There is a sequel.
Yeah,
I do. Okay, I think I had the soft cover. This is the hardcover.
Yeah,
those are the 2.
So these books are written as 11-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls.
Yeah, obviously that is a voice that I feel very familiar with for some reason.
Yes.
So here I am reading it going, okay, I guess I'm still 12 because I'm loving every minute of it and I'm just dying.
Yes.
The first book is called Twist My Charm, The Popularity Spell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this girl, Cleo, and her best friend, Samantha, and how they want, A, Cleo just wants to stop being teased, and B, they want to be sisters.
But she's the new kid in town, though. Cleo's the new kid in town.
She's the very
only has one friend.
Yeah.
And
moved from Ohio to Los Angeles, just like somebody else you know.
See?
Well, it made sense when you said that. I'm like, that's how it
Stories
happened.
come from a
real place.
From a real place, yeah.
And she goes to this snooty Beverly Hills school where they call all the teachers and administrators by their first name. I'm like, what the crap is that about?
That seemed very hippy-dippy Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, oh, your teacher, Kevin. Okay. I'm on board with that.
I just read a part of it to some elementary school kids last week, and I got to the part where she goes to gym class, but they call it recreational wellness at her school.
Or my favorite was focus! Exclamation point.
Exclamation point, because she's a very unfocused kid.
The name of the class is focus! Exclamation point.
Very creative and curious.
So you got Cleo Sam, and then you got the snooty girl, Maddie Patty, and this guy, poor Scabby Larry. Nobody wanted to be friends with Scabby Larry. And then Madison, Madison Paddington, I think her name is. She had her posse. So the whole story is because Cleo is tired of being called a clown. You know, what kind of name is Cleo? That's a clown's name. And you're from Ohio and you look like a pig. There's nothing but pigs. She's just tired of the whole thing.
But isn't Cleo short for Cleopatra?
I never thought about it, but I don't think I would have named her Cleopatra.
Because, Cleopatra had magic and charm, so I'm thinking it matches.
There you go.
Never thought about that.
Yeah.
So her uncle, her eccentric, crazy uncle, her father's dad, sends her a voodoo doll for her birthday. Months later, but she gets it.
Yeah.
And it's not like any voodoo doll that I ever heard of. It actually does good things.
Right.
Reversal there.
Where did you come up with that as the concept of your whole thing?
Well, I got to be super honest. When I originally wrote the book, it was just a regular voodoo doll that was intended to do bad things to people. And which made sense. I mean, it was all in a very light, comical way. She wasn't going to seriously harm anybody with this voodoo doll. But my agent, it was even before we sent it to publishers, she goes, now that I think about it, I don't think publishers would want a book about a girl with a bad voodoo doll wanting to do harm to people, even though my agent took on the book already. And I said, but that's the whole premise. And I guess somewhere late in the book, I make a comment about a happy, positive voodoo doll. So together, my agent and I said, that's the solution. She gets a happy, positive voodoo doll that's meant to do good things for people. But the twist is, when you do good things for yourself, sometimes bad things happen to other people. So the charms that they do go wrong in a comical way. Nothing too heavy or serious.
And that's exactly what happened. The first hex was something I think Sam wanted something good to happen, and she got her good pizza.
They got surprise pizza at school it wasn't pizza day, so they think it worked.
They were like,
it could have been a coincidence, but they think it worked.
Right, yeah, right. Never mind.
Then the second, now, here's my thing about Samantha. Early on, I'm starting to think Sam is Cleo's best friend. And she does stick up for Cleo to Maddie Patty, who is the bully. But I'm thinking, Sam has ulterior motives, so she's a little self-centered. She's a little pushy. But Cleo makes excuses for she's going to be my sister one day. So maybe that's how sisters are.
Right. Isn't that how kids are, though, right? They go along with things until they realize that it's wrong. Their relationship, their friendship has an arc. And in the second book, it comes around, too. I love hearing you talk about it so enthusiastically. Middle grade books are written for 8 to 12-year-olds. But I always say they are fun for all ages. All my friends who read this when I was working on it enjoyed it. It's a fun
That was one of the more favorite ages, I think. My favorite ages was that period like that.
I must just still be 12. I'm telling you, because I was reading it and I'm reading it in Cleo's voice like, well, I want to be that, whatever that means. But I hope one day that I could be that. And I'm dying inside. And I'm like, oh, Maddie Patty, I know what your problem is. Your daddy don't hug you enough.
Right,
and then we get to the part. And there's Cleo kind of accidentally seeing her dad being mean to her. When I knew it, she was not getting any attention at home, this little brat. And, like you said, good things happen to someone, but something bad might happen to someone else in the process.
Yeah.
But it all, spoiler alert, it all turns out okay in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my favorite part was about Ryder Landry.
So
that's after.
So now I gave a little bit about book one. Book two had to come along because the whole idea of book one was to break up Cleo's dad from Toni and get her...
Terry.
I'm sorry.
Terry.
But clearly intentionally named sort of for me.
Yeah. And get her with Sam's mom, Paige. The beautiful, well-kept, beautiful
She's a cautious
Hollywood
one.
Paige.
Yeah.
So they do their hex. They call them hexes. And now we got to go on to book 2 because, well,
Yeah.
something goes awry.
Uh-oh. I wonder what happens in that one.
Well, you said you have a favorite part of book 2.
Well, I just like the Ryder Landry part because she loved him and had posters on her wall and
Right.
all
Sounds
that-
familiar, huh?
all that fan stuff. Yeah, that must have come from a certain place too.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, the first book, my agent loved it and took it around to publishers. And at the very end of the book, she gets a love potion.
Right.
And the book is satisfying on its own. It didn't have to have a sequel, but luckily my agent sold a sequel to Random House as well.
Oh.
But this was a sequel that I hadn't written yet. And I hadn't even thought about what the plot would be aside from Cleo gets a love potion. So I had to create that whole story fresh without any ideas because Random House was expecting a second book. So I thought, well, what else do I remember from the time I was Cleo's age, 11, 12 years old? Shaun Cassidy.
Ta-da!
I thought all girls that age or most girls that age get a crush, right? Whether,
Right.
I think, more, 10 years ago, it was Justin Bieber and it's always somebody, right?
It's always
Every
someone.
era, there's new
Right, there
boy
is.
crushes. So I created Ryder Landry to be Cleo and Cleo and her friend's crush.
Where'd you get that name from? How'd you come up with that?
Ryder just seemed like a very modern, but, LA fancy name,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure, but I also like that Landry, they call the fans are called Lander. Like you've landed if you're a Ryder Landry fan.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta be honest. I didn't get through all of Love Potion number 11, but
Well, you are a busy woman, Doris, so I understand.
I got through enough of it to figure out just what exactly is going on and how Ryder Landry fits into the story. With Maddie and Cleo, Cleo and Sam kind of stopped being friends because, as we know, something good happened to
Issues.
Cleo and Maddie, but which means something has to happen kind of bad. That's all I'm going to say. And they move on, and then the second book, Cleo is just determined to make everything good. And she gets her love potion. Right.
Yeah.
But I think she realizes that friendships are more important than magic stuff or creative stuff or whatever.
I think Cleo realized that a little bit sooner than Samantha did.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Cleo was more in tune with the heartfelt because she just wanted to stop anyway.
Yeah.
And Sam wanted this thing to be the next thing that goes on forever. No, we got to think of the next one.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Yep. But they work together.
They get to a concert.
Mhm.
They're at a fair or like a fair or some sort of amusement park thing.
Amusement park, yeah.
Yeah. That Ryder is playing there that night, and they all get to that concert. That's what get them all together. And they do a little mosh pit in the front. They do.
Can you imagine a mosh pit with Shaun?
11-year-olds.
When he has concert? I went to the ones in Chicago and it was crazy loud. I could just imagine a mosh pit going on.
They're out there.
A mosh pit of 11-year-old girls.
11-year-old girls.
Crazy.
Maddie and her posse and everybody singing and dancing and everything.
Yep.
And I think Cleo didn't believe that Maddie really was her friend until finally that big moment where Maddie invites her back to the house and everybody is going back together. And, Ryder, we could thank him for everybody. It brought them all
it brings people together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it brings the people together today.
And that's true.
Back in our day, we didn't have this connection with the fans. Now we know more fans than we ever did. Than back in the 70s.
You only knew your circle in your neighborhood, right?
In the neighborhood, right.
School.
That was it. And I didn't know people further than that.
That's all I knew.
But now a second time around, when he's doing this tour, that's how we connected and,
So social media connected us all, and we decided let's try to bring it and make a community, and that's how the podcast got started.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
Shaun, like Ryder, was
brings people together.
Yeah.
Brings people who are young at heart together.
Yes. And he loves that too.
Yes.
He loves that connection. He calls it the shared community.
Yes.
shared connection, shared community. He loves that we're all sharing in it.
Yeah. And I love that he loves it. So one day he might say, and join us one day, or we'll just keep him afar and keep just spread his good word and name.
That's right. That's right. In the meantime,
Well, tell him
just
about my
worship.
article if you have a chance to meet him, and I'll be telling him. I'm sure he knows about your podcast already, but
Yes.
You know, I do only live about 2 hours away from Santa Barbara, which I believe is where he is. And he does have that wine thing.
I was going to mention that.
I don't know. I might have to join that wine club.
So, you know, Shaun, we're giving you a shameless plug here. My First Crush wines are actually very good. I am a wine club member, and being a member, you get invited to these events. You get to go on Zoom calls. One's coming up soon, and you get to go to events. So Dame and I went to, Dame has been to 3 or 4 events, but Dame and I went to Santa Barbara 2 Christmases ago for his My First Crush Christmas party. It is just like 40 or 50 of his closest friends being at his house. It was at the winery. He treats you like you're a guest at his house. The whole thing is just put on so well done. Such a beautiful event.
Very intimate event.
I would recommend anyone joining the My First Crush wine club if you can.
And there was a Christmas party, too.
That's the one I'm talking about. We went to.
Then there was a Valentine's party.
Yeah, Dane went to the Valentine's, and she went to some wine walk thing or outdoors thing.
It's throughout the year.
It's throughout the year.
Different seasonal
Well,
events.
like I said, I only live 2 hours away. I was like, oh, am I going to come across too nutty if I join that and show up?
No,
you'll be with the other nuts.
And I wish we would have connected back then, because definitely we would have hit it off.
Well, maybe we will be at the same one of these days.
It's still ongoing, so yes, possibility.
He keeps having them.
Possibility.
I may join this afternoon.
I was a little hesitant about going back, because going into Santa Barbara is not as easy as like flying into LA. You could get a nonstop flight.
Right.
This thing, I'm like, oh my God. The coming home was what was hard, because it's such a small airport that 2 flights leave and mine got canceled. So I had to wait for this whole day for another plane to come and I could go home. It became,
too much remote airport.
Yeah, it became such a thing. I said, I'm not flying back.
You're not doing that again.
Because I haven't gone yet, but Dame's still coaxing me to go. So I may show up at one.
And if you're coming from Chicago, you probably don't want to go to a winter one, because you never know what's going to be happening with Chicago.
No. Right. Exactly.
We got lucky that the one I went to, Chicago was having a winter drought. There was no snow. Weather was kind of warm. So, and that was what I kept saying. They kept saying the flights were delayed. I'm like, across the country, it's above average temperatures and no precipitation. What exactly is delaying the flight? And then
Chicago wasn't giving you the problem. Santa Barbara was giving you the problem. And Santa Barbara has perfect weather.
Yeah, right?
I figured out some flight attendant or some crew didn't show up. It was a crew thing.
Right.
So I'm like...
And with no crew, no plane.
No crew, no plane. So there it was.
Santa Barbara is a beautiful area. I'm sure Shaun is living very nicely there.
Yes, I'm sure. I would love to go visit.
We got lucky enough to get a tour, because when I was working, I was the head of charitable foundation, which donated money to the church where Shaun and Tracy go for their annual Christmas pantry, buy gifts and all that, and food and all that. So I reached out to the lady at the church and told her I was actually coming, and she gave Dame and I a full day tour of the whole area. And spent
wonderful.
Like 4 or 5 hours.
Santa Barbara area,
It was beautiful.
It's beautiful. Beautiful wine country.
Not to mention the beach.
Oh, yeah, we went to the beach. Dame had to see the ocean, and we got to the ocean. So
it
was really fun.
But these events every year, I think they're doing that.
Yeah, being a wine club member, I just got an email about upcoming events. And it's no dates and anything. It just said these events will be coming. So watch your email.
Mm-hmm.
And, never mind the events. That wine is really good.
That's nice to know.
What a great name, right? I mean,
adorable. Adorable.
I drank.
Adorable. Yep.
Would say I drank a glass last night, but bottles are glass.
Yep.
Bottles are glass. Yeah.
That's what I'm sticking to.
My mom would say, I'm only having one glass, but she had this huge glass that an entire bottle of wine could fit in.
Yeah, well, you're not lying.
I asked Steve Clifton, who was the winemaker. They had a Zoom call with him, like this meet and greet with him on Zoom, and it was a bunch of us wine members. And I said, Steve, what is the best way to preserve wine once you open a bottle? He said, finish the wine in the bottle.
Yeah, drink it up.
I'm a winemaker.
I got it right from the top. So I can't leave any wine in the bottle.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, you're following protocol.
Yeah.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Well, I'm kind of feeling like we might cross paths again one day.
Yes, definitely. There are events down the line. Yep.
Events right coming up.
Yes.
I had a little outline of what we were going to talk about, and I can't find it.
Well, I think that went out the window a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I think we covered most. You did want to ask me about Housewives, which I did. I did mention. I'm not doing it now, but I did produce, or I was one of the many producers on seasons 1 through 7 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That show is still going. They're on season 17 or 18, but I was on that show from seasons 1 through 7, and then I finished reality TV in 2023.
So then, that was my question. Like, do they do their thing and you make a story around it, or you make a story and they kind of follow it?
You know what? I'm actually reading Lisa Rinna, who was one of the Housewives for a while. Soap opera actress and all. I'm reading her book right now. I always liked her, and I knew her a little bit. And she admits, like, they follow what we do. And she says, we, the producers, we would say, you have to go on a vacation together. Because let's think about it. If you're a housewife, if you're friends with somebody and you don't like them anymore, you're not going to go on vacation together. Right? You're not going to go to lunch with them. But then we wouldn't have a show. So we do have to make them do those kinds of things. But once they're doing it, we don't say, have a fight.
Oh, okay. It's just what it is.
We might say, hey, you guys have had this beef. Can you go to lunch and talk about it? But there's nobody saying you have to say this, you have to do this. The women themselves, I think, realize when things aren't exciting enough, and they decide. They go, I'm pissed about this. And in real life, I would hide it. But I'm on TV. Yeah. I'm going to say it.
So you give them a scenario. You put them on a beach or like a vacation. They go somewhere and then things come out.
And we would also build scenes around what they were really doing. Like, somebody got a charity event. Okay, we're going to come and film that charity event. And of course, you have to invite all the other housewives to that charity event. So we would follow, or somebody's, I'm going to go on this vacation or whatever. Well, can everybody come along?
Yeah.
So we did follow, every year at the beginning of the seasons, we'd say, what do you have coming up? And sort of build filming around it. It's not like the real world where we're there with them 24 hours a day, because these are grown women with children and families. Yes. We can't be there 24 hours a day, but we would make a schedule for filming around what we knew was going to happen. And then hope for the best. Hope that juicy stuff happens.
Well, the way you make it sound is they were savvy enough to know this is TV. Let's juice it up a little. So they would bring out their most juicy stuff when they felt like it was getting a little dull.
Yeah, the best reality TV people are the ones who do not filter themselves. They shouldn't make it up. If you're not mad at somebody, you shouldn't pretend to be mad at somebody.
Right.
But if you're feeling it, you don't hide it. If there's a housewife who hides her feelings, she's usually gone within a season or two. Because she's boring.
Yes, nothing to say.
Right.
Not
bringing
no
anything to the party.
Talk about. Yeah.
That's why I used to. It was painful to watch, but I used to watch Danny Bonaducci's reality show because
and he's just a character,
make that crap up. Right.
He was just being himself.
People just don't know what you see is Danny, and he can't make that crap up. And It was
When
a
people
little
ask me, is
painful.
reality TV real? I say, do you think when they started filming Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they knew that Bruce Jenner was going to become a woman?
Yeah, no.
I don't think so.
He was hiding that.
They did not script that.
Right. That was a
in
big
their
secret.
lives while they were filming.
Right, exactly. Interesting how they do that.
Very interesting.
Wouldn't that be funny if there was a real, not Real Housewife, but real Shaun fans reality show?
Oh.
What would come up with that?
You gotta get the ones that are more bouncy and like us.
Yeah.
We're too nice though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're a fun podcast.
But there's been some
I don't know
scuffles
that we wouldn't
sometimes.
be tearing each other's hair out.
They say go a little Jerry Springer. I might be inclined
Sometimes
to
there
go
is.
a little Jerry Springer. and
Well, you know, if
bring-
my friends Robin or Katie or Siobhan, if Shaun had liked them more than he liked me, there would have been some trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
And some people
mean-
have asked. I did not meet him in Riverside, but I did go to the show back in January.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it
you
was
didn't do the
wonderful.
Q&A meet and greet?
I didn't. I'm too cheap.
Oh,
Maybe I was
would've-
hoping he would find me through my article instead of paying the extra money. But maybe I'll join the
Oh.
wine club and meet him that way.
Yes.
There you go. Join
Yes.
the wine club and keep saying, take it from me, keep saying and doing you.
Yep.
And he
exactly.
will know exactly who you are in no
Exactly.
time at all.
Sweet.
Tony,
I
this has
was-
been so much fun today.
This
has
has
been
great.
fun.
Great. I had a feeling after listening to your podcast that we would be chatting away like old pals.
Oh,
I feel
yes.
like we are.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing with Shaun fans too. I think there's a lot of connection there.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have that. We have the one thing we can't say is we have nothing in common. Because we have the
Right.
one common denominator.
Right.
And, then
And more
we
than
have-
one, even.
Yeah. And everything else. And you're just a hoot. I was so happy to connect you with our friends from the Pop Culture Preservation Society, Kristen. Because she is a writer of children's books. She's Shirley a hoot. And, I'm like, I got to get these two together sometime.
Yeah, I would love to
way.
cross
Yeah.
paths with them someday too.
Oh, yeah. They're
Oh,
great.
Yeah, they travel sometimes. I mean, they used to all live in Minnesota. Now they all live around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just follow them. And
Yeah.
you never
I am,
know.
yeah. I
Yeah.
am, thanks to your recommendation. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me
You're
to be
fine.
on this. It was so great.
Oh, we loved it. We should do it again.
Yeah.
Let me know. I can
If you
always
come-
yak away.
If you come out of retirement and start producing anything, just give us a shout out.
Maybe
Yep.
when Shaun and I are producing our Twist My Charm show.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a great time to do it.
You just said it out loud.
I'm going to
so
get
you
my
just-
happy positive voodoo doll and I'm going to wish for that.
Oh, I
Yes.
made a
Put
quick
that to
note.
use.
That's what we'll end it on.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You will have your Juju Mojo Gris Do Poodoo.
Voodoo.
That's right from the book. It's going to bring good Juju Mojo Gris and Poodoo. So you just said it out loud. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Well, thank you, ladies. Hope to
Thank
cross
you,
paths
Toni.
again.
Thank you from the bottom of our Teen Dream hearts. Keep on crushing.
Always believe in magic.
And have a peaceful, Shauntastic week. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Thread, and subscribe to our new YouTube page.
Make sure to keep in touch with us at our email, ShaunSquadSociety@gmail.com.
The Shaun Squad Society podcast, including past, present, and future versions, and its contents are owned and controlled by the Shaun Squad Society. The podcast is written, produced, and recorded at the Borden Studios, and the views and opinions are solely those of the Shaun Squad Society podcast. We may think we are always right, but we may get things wrong from time to time, so we assume no responsibility for errors of submission of content.